What is up, guys? Young Sunny D here, back for another video, and today we're going to be talking about the new Valorant patch notes that came out. These are patch notes 0.47 that came out on April 22nd of 2020. Just a brief overview. These patch notes are nerfing Raze, which I think is very deserved if you've ever died to her giant meme cannon. This also fixes Cypher's shooting spy cams, which I never personally experienced, but I do know people who have had to deal with this. And then we have some map updates, which I think is good. Me and one of my friends definitely abused a certain Haven map exploit. If anyone has ever destroyed someone Heaven from spawn, it's pretty fun. It's pretty fun. So, first of all, gameplay and balance. Melee damage. Now, this is actually a big one. Sage's barrier. I am a Sage main. I play a lot of Sage, and I love her barrier ability, particularly because it allows you to plant and slows the defenders down, and you kind of know where they are once they start shooting that wall. But now, defenders can melee the wall, or attackers even. And it does double the damage per hit to destructibles, which I think is very good, honestly, because Sage is a pretty broken character. She can res her teammates, she can heal, basically negating the need for heavy armor unless you just want to tank everything. And then she can also slow down attackers or defenders through the use of her slow orbs and her wall. She's just a very broken character. Mobility, utility, and heals all in one sweet package. Now, as stated here, there weren't enough options during low econ rounds for attackers and defenders to combat Sage's barrier orb, which I definitely think is true. If you've ever tried to break the wall with a classic, you know you basically don't have enough ammo afterwards for an actual gunfight. So adding the ability to just melee a wall was a very needed change. Thank you, Riot Games. Now, Raze. Raze's paint shells, which I believe were her grenades, I never actually have played Raze yet, but I hate playing against her, have been reduced from 2 to 1, which I feel like is a very, again, needed change, because I don't like dying to a triple grenade with clusters. It's not very fun. Now, the paint shells also have a kill reset, which means you need to get 2 kills to refresh the cooldown, which I feel like is justly deserved because you can get 2 kills with a paint grenade anyways. Audio stuff has been fixed, which I feel like is good. The audio in this game, I've noticed, is it's a little lacking sometimes. I have a hard time telling where things are coming from in certain situations, so I think this is a needed and worthy change. Now, Sage's slow orb also slows the airspeed of players in the zone. This means that B-hopping, you know, the thing that any CSGO player is naturally good at, well, that makes this very nerfed, which is unfortunate. I feel like B-hopping was a skill-based movement that honestly was deserved as a counter to Sage, because it rewarded the player to have skill and practice in the art of movement, which is something that many games need to work on, is the movement. This game in particular, I feel like is pretty solid, but I don't believe that nerfing B-hopping across the Sage orbs is deserved. I feel like Riot Games needs to reconsider this. However, as a counter to this, players can now walk the slow orb without making noise. The slow orb was good not because it slowed down defenders and attackers, not only because of that, but also because it alerted you to their position, because you could hear what sounded like someone scraping their nails on a chalkboard anytime someone touched the frickin' ice, which I think was a little overpowered, considering it made defending every site a breeze, because you could have 2 of them, and basically keep the attackers or defenders at bay for as long as you really needed to. Now, map updates. Several exploits, as I mentioned before, were fixed on Bind, Haven, and Split. The only one I can personally think of was Haven, which was team boosting using Sage's Ice Wall to peek A, Heaven, and Long if you had an Omen and a Sage on your team, which I definitely did a lot with one of my homies, and let me tell you, it's broken. Now, they also moved an orb from B mid to B main, which I feel like is good if you've played Split before. Trying to get that mid orb without a Sage wall is really annoying, especially once the enemy's eco is good and they have things like operators or even marshals, because quite frankly, you can't really move while you're getting an orb, you know? So it's really nice to have a little bit of cover for the attackers to be able to get that orb. I feel like that was a needed change. It also promotes incentive for a further defender push to get up into B main, because now you can charge your ulti faster, which means we're going to see more B main engagements, which I feel like is needed. It sucks trying to push out B site as an attacker because there's so many angles, unless you have a Viper, because then she can wall off everything, because, you know, Viper. Now this, I feel like this is needed. A quality of life change, reduced outbound network traffic from client for players running at high frames per second. Now this is probably good because I personally have noticed my ping increase when my frames are higher, which I don't think is good at all. You shouldn't have to turn down your frames in order to get a better ping. Especially, I know one of my friends who plays on satellite, and I feel like this in particular will benefit him heavily. Now it also says there is no impact to gameplay or responsiveness, which means there is no downside to this. This is a purely beneficial update to the player base. Thank you, Riot Games, for this. Now finally, there's some extra bug fixes, like for example, Cypher Spy Cam can no longer use weapons, which I feel like is something that shouldn't have been there in the first place. So again, thank you, Riot Games. Now also, fixed a bug where footstep audible range would sometimes not appear on the minimap. I don't understand what this means, but I'm gonna assume it has something to do with the little question marks that pop up on the minimap when you hear an enemy. I feel like that's deserved. Sound in this game, again, is a little bit broken, and I feel like needs to be worked on. So there you have it, guys. Overall, I feel like this is a very beneficial patch update to the game, Valorant, and I feel like as time goes on, we will see Riot Games improve upon what is already broken in this game very heavily, because for a beta game, this game is already sweet and beautiful, and I enjoy the hell out of it. I hope you guys all have a fantastic day. Sunny D out, and I will see you in the next video.